Welcome to the Footy Museum podcast. I'm Justin Whitty, and I'm joined...
Can we start over?
Why?
Because I was like swishing.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, we can't start over. I'm sorry. I'm joined by co-director Maria Van Dyke and Lee, and that was her asking me to start over. And I said no. Hi, Maria. How are you doing?
I thought this was a partnership.
Oh, another tough week for you, Maria. That was probably the worst Leeds game
I've
seen all season.
It was sad. It felt like their spirits had just like left their bodies, and they weren't really all there. Because usually it's bad, but it's like chaos bad, and they're really pushing. But it just felt sad.
They're like flinging themselves around like usual, but just like 30 seconds too late, almost like they forgot that that's what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and all of their passes were
terrible.
terrible.
I know it was very windy at Goodison, but oh God, it was just not. It was sad. I'm worried. I
am too.
I think they might. I'm worried they're going to go down.
Yeah. I'm not worried anymore. I'm accepting it. Like, no. I've been, for the past 24 hours, I have been like, actually at the half, I said to myself, Maria, you need to change your mindset. You need to change from like survival and like feeling anxious to just like accepting and going along for the beautiful journey. Like, there are good times, there are bad times. This is one of those bad times. It's been a fun run, and we'll have fun in the championship.
I am of the mind, I think it's a minority, but I'm actually of the mind that if Jesse Marsh had stayed, they would have been fine. Because they looked worse. They look a lot. Of course, they don't, because they don't really have a manager. They have their under 21 and former futsal coach. But hey,
maybe they should become a futsal team.
I posted something on Mastodon about it, and a Leeds fan said, "Hey, at least the cricket is good." So apparently their cricket team is good, or maybe that's just a saying they say.
Maybe
because I don't think they're playing cricket right now. They don't play cricket through the. Do they?
I don't know.
I know nothing about cricket.
I saw a cricket bat once.
Yeah. It looks silly. Cricket bats look silly to me. They look like punishment devices, which I guess I think are silly, but I don't think they're silly, so I don't know why that looks silly. But
yeah, it kind of has that look. I think a baseball bat looks more like a violent thing, and a cricket bat looks more like a silly thing.
Maybe the two are just perfect delineations between American and British culture. Like the baseball bat is just made to like beat the crap out of someone, and a cricket bat looks like it's more about cruel, regular punishment.
Yeah, that feels right.
It is tough. And, having watched The Fire for many years, I know that feeling. But I benefit because there's no pro rel in MLS. Yes. So each year there is that beacon of hope. And MLS is back next week.
You know what's so funny about this? Speaking of Fire and MLS,
yes,
is that I also changed my tune at the half about relegation in MLS. I was like, you know what? This will be good.
Too painful.
I'll follow one relegated team, and then I'll just be happy that my local team can never be relegated, and that will be fun.
You're lucky because they should, and all the experts are predicting the Fire to finish bottom of the East. But this is not a Fire breakdown. We'll save that maybe for next week as we get ready to go. Should we go to the home opener together? Does Jeremy want to go to the home opener?
I bet he would. Yeah.
It's March 4th. It's gonna be cold, but tickets are cheap.
Tickets are cheap, and we have coats.
Yeah, I think we should do that. We could talk, and then we'll do a breakdown before then. But I am bringing up MLS because there is a lot going on. Obviously, with the Apple deal, which we talked about, there's the whole MLS section. And there's a bunch of new kits that were just released, and some pretty exciting ones.
These are very exciting. I was very pleased with these.
These are all Adidas, and all the best kits in the World Cup were Adidas, I do have to say. So
Remind me of who they were.
Of who Adidas is, or of who the best kits?
Who is this company, Adidas?
I think they did Japan's, which was
Japan is always good.
was outstanding.
I was just watching U.S. women's versus Japan. And
Yeah, and the U.S. women won 1-0, right?
yes.
Yeah. But there's some exciting. So I'm going to point out some of my favorites first, and then maybe you can do yours. And I get to do that because I'm controlling the computer. One for me, for sure, and this continues a short but strong design history with Oostende FC. And I love this kit.
I think it's fantastic.
Like, I would almost wear, like, I never
Would
buy
you
kits.
wear it in Chicago by Soldier Field?
Well, I might. I like to have, the thing about kits, they always look good, and then you get them and they're made for 20-year-old pro athletes, and they just don't hang on my luxurious 46-year-old frame the same. So I just appreciate them from afar. But the Oostende FC kit, so it's green and black, which are their colors. So it's a very cool optical pattern.
It's a wonderful play on just like the straight stripes.
Yeah.
Or like, let's break up the stripe. Let's vary the width. And it just like does so much with so little.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's just like the classic kit is the stripes, and this they just broke it up. It's smart. I'm not a huge fan of green and black pairings.
Really?
Yeah, but I love so much that Oostende does.
Yeah, they really
I
have
love
a
their crest.
strong
We could talk
aesthetic.
about that someday, maybe. But their supporters groups.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a win for Oostende.
Mm-hmm, per usual.
Congratulations. Charlotte, their away kit.
Very fun.
It's not a lot of. Is there some detail in there? But it's a dark purple because they are the Queen City, so I think it's the royal color with a lighter purple Adidas stripes on the shoulder, and then kind of details inside the bottom edge, and then their royal blue goes with that purple, really nice. So the crest really pops, I think.
Yeah, it does. It's the
teal. That's a good one.
Teal and purple with a little pink just on the shoulders
teal,
there.
purple, and pink, and it does it. It looks like there's a lot of nice detail.
Who would have thought? It's like a certain level of restraint, but like simplicity, but fun colors that really
it's great.
Jump out, yeah.
Charlotte, another team, came on the scene last year, and I hate what they did to the Fire, but they have a really great energy in their supporters, and they're doing a lot of exciting things. So well done again to Charlotte. So the Fire, they're classic, and we're looking at the kit. They don't have a sponsor, which actually looks better because those sponsors always look dumb. It's a little worrying for the team. But they are going, again, with the classic, not classic would be red, but they're going with dark blue, red accents. They have the beautiful new crest with a star from very early on. In MLS, they don't count every 10 league wins. They count just one league win for a star. And I think embossed close there is a nice pattern. I don't know if it's star related or Skyline again related this year. But then their away kit.
I love this one.
Really nice. How would you describe this?
It looks like those tiles. What are they? Mexican
chevron tiles? They're kind of chevrons.
It's like those ones that you make different characters with different shapes with, and you have like a bunch of them, and you stick them together, and you can make like
color forms.
Is that what that is?
Is that maybe we're just speaking two different things.
I don't know. It's like a puzzle game that you give to kids, and it's these wonderful little colorful tiles. You can make all kinds of pictures.
Oh, and then they get a picture of a dog made out of 6 of them, and they have to arrange the tiles to make. It does kind of look like that. I would describe it as light blue, sky blue. Like the colors are based on the Chicago flag, just like the crest. There is a central crest, which as much as that doesn't work on like the U.S. men's and women's national teams, I think it works on this because it's a circular crest, so right in the center. And then I would describe it as the red and blue chevron pattern, but it's kind of broken up. So sometimes the blue and the red are meeting. Sometimes it's red against a negative space. Sometimes it's blue against negative space. And they seem to kind of break up and are open towards the middle where there eventually will be a sponsor and then come back together.
Eventually brought to you by Portillo's.
So, well done, Fire.
I like this one. This is one of my top.
I might get this one. We were going to go back and forth, but we're just going through them together. This works better. Houston is like, the first one's like a digital heat pattern, I would say. That's like a heat pattern of Houston in the summer, looks like.
I wonder if it changes when your body warms up.
Oh,
So the
it's
armpits,
like a body glove, the first body glove MLS.
the armpits would be like a different color.
They should make a jersey that changes color with sweat patterns.
Yeah.
And like a sweat ring, but like the edge of the sweat stain, like day glow colors.
Oh,
like
no.
that would be. LA, their classic home white
LA Galaxy.
kit's fine. LA Galaxy, yeah. And I like what they did with their away one this year because it's kind of a callback to kind of their wilder, earlier kits with like the full color and the green. I like this one.
I love this one.
I think
I think the collar, the trim, the hemline.
Yeah, so it's like a yellow, red, and I guess it's like a teal.
They did.
Right?
They used like the smallest amount of space to make the most impact.
Yeah, on the collar
That's
and the
very
sleeve,
nice.
that repeating of those colors. And anyone like who's been a fan of MLS knows like their 90s and early 2000s kits. This is definitely a callback to those. Well done.
Snaps for Galaxy.
The other LA team, LAFC home, same, pretty much the same kit last year. It's classy, the gold on black,
Yeah,
and then
it's
it kind of
cool.
has the very Art Deco LA pattern underneath. It looks great on the field. Their new away ones,
Smoke screen.
yeah, it just looks dirty to me.
It almost looks like Leeds tie-dye one.
Yeah, except
But dirty.
but half done. It's
Yeah.
like it was like the rejects from they're like, oh, the color didn't turn out, so we'll just send those. That's why Will Ferrell.
That's why he was.
That's why he was in England. He was picking up the
the boxes of
it's like
reject
I
leads.
got the reject leads. That's it. We solved it. You heard it here first. Minnesota, no, just moving on for me. Any comments for you?
I do have a comment.
Okay.
On their Northern Lights away kit. I like the upper half of it.
That's just blue.
It's just blue, pink, and then it cuts you in half. It looks like it's gonna look like a crop top on the field. Depending on the color of their shorts, it's gonna look like a crop. They're all running around in crop tops.
Okay. You're right. You're totally right. Because it does go from a sky blue into a purplish pink, and then it quickly fades to black and then just to white.
I heard that this is based on the Northern Lights, correct?
Yeah, but that's not the
It's
colors.
not. It's not inspiring.
I could see maybe you see how that jagged pattern on the bottom that relates to Northern Lights. Not that I've ever seen them, but all the photos I've seen of them, like there's kind of a regular wave. But then why not go all black at the bottom?
Yeah.
Because then it's the lights in the
Maybe
in
it's
the
supposed to be
scar.
like snowy.
Yeah, I'm not into it. Not into it. Nashville. So this one's interesting to me. They did a special Johnny Cash, the Man kit.
That's what
and
this
when I
is?
heard that, and when I heard that, I was really excited. But it's essentially just a black. It's just a black jersey with silver highlights and some embossed areas. There is a special Johnny Cash plaque or square on the bottom, and then it also has the Apple TV, and it is being released along with a special compilation of music from Apple TV. So there's cool tie-ins I like. And then inside the back collar, there's the Cash signature, but underwhelming.
If somebody told me they were making a Johnny Cash kit, I would expect like a little outline of like a Western style shirt.
maybe this one initially had like a faux white collar, and they're like, we can't.
like with like a couple little like pockets and like little like embroidery on the shoulders.
Yeah. Or something prison like. I don't know. Maybe what they ran into is like, oh, we love this idea. I mean, I love Johnny Cash. I've been to the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville. I met his brother when I was there.
Wow.
I will share that photo on our page. And big fan. Ring of Fire was our wedding song.
That's a
Our daughter's
wonderful choice.
Our daughter's middle name was almost Cash. She was born on Johnny Cash's birthday during a thunderstorm.
Wow.
So I love Johnny Cash.
The connections go deep.
But maybe they decided all of that, and then they started researching and like, damn, this guy just wore black all the time. Like, what do we do? Like, maybe they just didn't have any options. I don't know. Anyway.
You have to just like put a big old guitar on the front.
And then the Chicago Fire kit of the East Coast, the New England Revolution. And their away kit is just awful. No.
Another
one with a healthcare sponsor with a healthcare lobby look.
Why'd they put behind the United Healthcare just a white rectangle blocking off the cool graphic?
I don't know. Maybe because the intern just learned Photoshop that week.
That's what it feels like. I'm surprised it's not pixelated.
Like just accidentally or misspelled.
Oh no.
Untied Health Cure. NYCFC. So their home kit, there's a lot going on with subtle color. That trend on the kits to have the very subtle patterns. And how do you feel about that?
This one in particular looks like scales. So I kind of like that, but
like snake-like.
Yeah.
But I think it's the NY.
Yeah, the NYC
in there. It's the
subtle.
Initials locked together. I
would have rather seen the whole thing be funky scales for no reason at all.
Just funky scales.
Yeah.
Well, if I was hoping you'd say I'd rather see it be a giant blue lightning bolt on a orange field because that's what they decided to do with their away kit.
You don't like green and black. I don't like orange. I'm not a big orange.
I like orange. I don't like this orange. I think this kit is worthy of their sleeve sponsor, Dude Wipes. That's all I'm going to say. Dude Wipes.
At least they have a sponsor.
This jersey is a Dude Wipe. Feel free to use accordingly.
Okay, this one was surprising for me.
Okay.
This is
go ahead.
Red Bull. I love this one.
Okay.
This is maybe my favorite. And I'm not like a Red Bull person. I'm not like into the franchise. I love this kit.
You're just a supporter of the Red Bull style of.
No, that didn't work for Leeds. Yeah, like the big yellow circle and the Red Bull logo in the background, and then like these, it's a little bit like the Leeds tie-dye one. But it looks more like clouds, and it's got this like pale yellow background with like these blue blotches, and it looks like a sunny sky with bulls in the air. And
I have to say that it is a very light yellow, almost like a dusty color, and that with the cloud like blue that fades in and out, almost like a tie-dye again, but it gives it like a weathered look, which I think softens the harshness of that logo. So it's almost like looking at like a faded actual logo. And of course that yellow makes the blue and red really pop because it's a good way to use primaries without it being over the top. What I understand with Red Bull is the team's crest is their logo. It is the Red Bull, and they are called Red Bull. All the teams are called Red Bull.
Yeah.
The crests are their logo. Why do they feel the need to do a giant sponsor piece when I think it would be even better without it? Would you disagree? You said you liked those in the center.
Well, I think the backdrop for the logo, the Red Bull logo on the front of the jersey, that's not like the badge on the shoulder. The big logo, the sponsor logo, works well with the backdrop of that kind of cloudy sky look.
Okay. More like a heroic meeting of
the two bulls.
Gods of sport drink flash in the heavens. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this one will look good on TV though, but I like it.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
When the new, ultra high definition of Apple TV.
I'm really looking forward to that because I'm tired of watching and
the old MLS was like 300
DPI.
just like awesome. It was like Pong. It was like, the blue square hit the smaller square into the giant square. And then they went with picnic blanket checkerboard for the away kit.
Yeah, whatever.
Not great. Yeah. Okay. The Union, they have their variation of what you would expect for their home kit. Dark blue, there's a light blue stripe, and then the gold accents with the bimbo.
It's a little unbalanced maybe, but...
Yeah. But I would say their away kit is similar similar feelings to the Red Bull, but this is very intentionally clouds, but almost
Is it
like,
clouds or is it camo?
It's I view it as clouds for sure.
I thought it was camo up until right now.
Okay. I view it as clouds as almost like a Japanese screen painting or something like that. I just wish with that they didn't go with such a dark blue for the details. The contrast is too. It would have been nice to play with color a little more, I think. Do you like it?
I do like this one. I also don't think this is going to look good on camera, but I like it like as a photo. This one's interesting.
Timbers home kit. It is like a kilt pattern. Argyle, I would say, right?
Plaid,
yeah.
a tartan.
Would make sense with their axe.
Or like lumberjacks.
You like it? Do you like this one?
I think it's interesting.
I don't like it. I think it's too much for me. But you're more youthful and
I'm not like
touch.
I'm not a big plaid person.
And their away kit, they have the roses again. They've had this before. This actually looks really great in on the field. Good job, Portland. You did a good job. RSL is still a professional soccer team, and they have 2 jerseys. As is true of the Quakes. Seattle has their pretty much the same home kit. Won't go into much, but the one that's getting a lot of discussion is the Bruce Lee kit.
Yes.
So last year they had a very popular jersey, which I like a lot. It was the Jimi Hendrix. It was purple with it was called the Purple Haze kit, so it had like smoke going up through, really high contrasting colors. They followed through again this year, this time with a homage to Bruce Lee. It contains his signature, and then there is, speaking of scales.
Scales is a red dragon.
I think this is good.
I think it's fantastic.
They really knocked it out of the park again. I think this is the one everyone's talking about, and that red with the yellow, the greenish yellow, is just close enough to be green to be.
Well, is that supposed to be the green too from his like iconic jumpsuit?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Is it yellow or is it green? Because that, I guess
it's right on the edge. Well, you know, the Sounders are greens. That's what I'm saying. It's like right on that edge. Mm-hmm. I like everything about it. Again, one that I would not look good on me, but seeing by itself, and I'm sure in like professional athletes, really great. So I hope they've done much better with the design of their kit than they did in the Club World Cup. So, and that's it. That took a little longer than we planned. But there's some exciting ones in there.
There are. The good ones are really good.
And it's nice for once to have Chicago on the side of the really good in this. So last week our random
Belgium.
Last week our random country generator gave us the beautiful country of Belgium. Real quick facts about football in that country. The top league is the Belgian Pro League. It is top flight for the Royal Belgian Football Association, which consists of 18 clubs. The association began in 1895. The top teams pretty much regularly in the Belgian Pro League are Anderlecht, Cercle Brugge, and Standard Liège. There are 7 U.S. players currently playing in the Belgian Pro League. Some of the top ones would be Mark McKenzie with Ghent, Brian Reynolds with Westerlo, and Sam Vines with Antwerp. And of course, there's many great players who have come out of Belgium: Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, and Romelu Lukaku to name a few. So it's a pretty big compared to the last few weeks. This is kind of a big league, I would say.
Yeah. What does UEFA rank it at? Like 8th?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes because I didn't look, and sounds like you did. Yeah, 8th.
Let's go with 8th.
8th. That makes sense.
Either 8th or 11th. Those two numbers stick out to me.
It's somewhere between 1 and 50 in the top part. But it's a top. I mean, it's definitely I would say that second level of the top leagues. I think it's probably just a little behind the Dutch league, on par with France. If you take out PSG, so it's right up there. Yeah. Regularly teams in the Champions League early stages.
They make it there. That's the important thing.
And a lot of great clubs with great histories and some interesting crests designs. So,
Yeah.
Maria, tell us about who you chose, and I'm so excited to learn.
Okay, well, I have a very exciting piece of news
Oh,
before I share my team.
what's that?
You know how we've been talking about the rules of heraldry.
Oh, no,
last
you
few
did
weeks.
it. Oh, my gosh.
I went down to the local library and I picked myself up a book
Oh,
called Basic Heraldry by Stephen Fryer and John Ferguson. And I have been reading up.
oh, break it down. Inform us.
Well, I've only finished half of the book.
Oh, okay. What have you learned so far?
An awful lot about the history of maybe way too much information than I wanted about the history of specifically like English, Scottish, and Irish heraldry and the rules and
Okay.
the symbols. And I haven't actually gotten to the rules chapter yet, but I did find out who are the keeper of the rules.
Oh, and who is that?
It's a person who's called the Earl of Marshall. At least in the English system. And there's the the High Court of Chivalry is where they discuss these things. So,
Excuse me. Can he just walk around all of England and like make people change their signs? Like,
Yeah.
who the hell? I am the Earl of Marshall. This Chipotle sign does not meet my standards. Away with you.
I mean, kind of, yes. They don't hear very many court cases, but
Well, no, it's because it's just a one man's decision. There's no deliberating.
he appoints a lawyer to take care of
What
these
has
things.
the Earl taught you?
Well, I learned the difference between a coat of arms, a crest, and a badge.
Okay.
It's one of the important
That's good
things I
because
learned.
we fumble around with those words quite a bit.
Yeah, well, right now, most of the world, I think, uses crest interchangeably, but
Yeah.
when in fact a crest refers to a very specific part of an emblem or a coat of
Oh,
arms. It refers to a thing that is on top of the helmet. If you look at these very old crests, so there's like little decorations that are on top of the helmet.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. The crest.
Yeah, and then the shield is, of course, the shield. It's a badge if it's on a piece of clothing, and that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the coat of arms itself. However, sometimes the elements for a badge can be taken from a coat of arms, and those are called charges. So there are rules. We don't have to get into all of them now. I think it's just safe to say that we can call it a crest if we want.
Yeah, but maybe badge is the most
Maybe
accurate.
badge is the most accurate.
Okay.
So for our listeners out there, we know the difference now.
Yeah. So if the two of you have been biting your fingernails, I can't believe well, now you
Yeah,
know.
you know we know.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Okay. All right. So on to the
Okay.
Belgian Pro League.
All right.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
So I took on, when looking through all of the badges in the
Good to use it. Yeah,
Yes.
nice. It's almost like you've learned. Have you been hanging out with the Earl of Marshall?
we're best pals at
Okay.
this point.
Yeah.
He's actually, never mind.
Is Jeremy the Earl of Marshall?
Shh. He doesn't like
Hiding in
getting out.
America. Oh my gosh.
A lot of these Belgian crests / badges / emblems are like really old school.
Yeah.
Very,
they are.
very much like tied to the coat
Royal,
of arms
yeah.
of the place where they're from. So
Mhm.
when looking at them, I wanted to choose one that had been updated so that
Yes.
we'd have something to talk about. And I went with KV Oostende.
The Oostende. Yeah.
Oostende, which is the club of a town that's right by the sea, or the zee, as we say in Dutch.
Yes. Zazie.
Yes. De zee, or is it het zee? I don't know.
Oh, the het and the da.
Yeah. There are two ways to say the in Dutch. if
And
you
the
go-
official rules are like, just some words use one and some use the other. Figure it out.
Yeah. So, anyways,
That's for our next podcast.
yes.
Double Dutch.
The KV Oostende, or in my title, Koninklijk Voetbalclub Oostende,
Yeah.
was originally It was a merger between two older clubs that were formed around the beginning of the 1900s. And that's VG Oostende and AS Oostende. So in the 80s, those two clubs merged together and formed KV. And that was when their first crest came to be, which was based off of the two original crests.
The Earl of Marshall would approve.
Yeah, he would approve, although he has no jurisdiction in Belgium.
So that is a shield with a crest on top.
Yeah, so AS Oostende
Yeah.
is a shield that is quartered, as they say. There are two halves.
So left behind.
I know. I got to give you my book.
Oof.
So the left half is green. The right half is red with a label at the top, AS Oostende, and a golden crown on top of the shield and a old style football in the middle. It's pretty simple. Very straightforward. VJ.
But it's nice though. I think it's like tight. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tight. These are the types of things we see in the Belgian designs. And then VG is similar. It's a more ornate style shield, more square with a little point at the end. Red and yellow stripes alternating, VG Oostende in the label at the top, and a pretty funky crown.
So quick question. Because a lot of the Belgian teams have a crown or at some point had the crown incorporated into their badge or as the crest upon the shield that made up their badge. Is that because the Football Association was the Royal Belgian Football
I
Association?
think so. At one point, they switched to being the Royal, or, as they say in Dutch, Koninklijk.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it is in a lot of them.
All of them, most of them have a royal crown.
We both chose ones that have recently dropped it. Yes.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Looking ahead. Well, so when in the 80s, when these two clubs merged and formed.
And that crown looks like a crazy chandelier. Their second
it does.
version.
It's cute. I like it.
Okay.
They quartered the shield again. And this time, the right half is 3 stripes that are green, red, and yellow. That's all the colors of the 2 previous clubs combined. Okay. And on the left half, there's a yellow background with a chevron, black stripe across the middle, 1 chevron, and 3 keys in the yellow spaces. And that's from the coat of arms of Oostende.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like the keys is a common coat of arms.
I think it's an armory thing.
Okay. I have to say, color scheme, very on brand with the new LA Galaxy kit.
Yeah, I like this. This is my favorite out of their crests. And on top of it, they have a very minimalist 3-pointed crown. And KV Oostende as a label on top of the shield. The coat of arms of Oostende.
Oh, boy.
I just pulled it up.
This is right up there with that. Oh, this is like Sheffield Wednesday category here. Holy cow.
A lot is happening. This is, I think, part of what's
I feel threatened and aroused. This is so weird.
What's peculiar about this is that they really updated the figures in it who are mer people.
I think
so there's a lot of nudity in this crest, but it's very like 80s, 90s, like it looks like it's out of a children's Bible.
So it's a shield in the middle that has the keys, and one side is
it's a merman holding a sword.
Okay, and with the most bubbly abs I've ever seen.
They're very bubbly is the right word, and he has a gray beard but blonde hair on top.
Okay,
and then on the right there's a mer woman holding a mirror.
Yes,
and
with a very long torso and a tiny head.
Yeah, and they have these funny little fins with these, I don't know how they swim with their tiny little tails.
They have minuscule tails, and also their hands that are resting on the crest are like child arm hands. It's like, oh, there's some issues here.
And then there's like waves below, and there's a net with a trident and an oar, and then there's
a little cross and a little lion.
Yeah. There's a lot of symbolism in it, because I'm sure they had to throw in all the things from the town, and it's like I think it's like an armory. I'm not sure. I didn't dig that deep, but it's also like the seaside town, so they're all like obsessed with the ocean. And
get over it.
Yeah.
I live on the ocean.
So that's where that comes from. I'm kind of glad they didn't use the town crest for their football crest.
Oof. Yeah. Dodged a bullet.
Really did. So the updated one from this combo club it's a huge difference. It's their worst one. It's this one. It's like
people listening don't know what this one is. Explain it.
I'm gonna explain it.
Okay.
Give me time. I was telling you that it was this one.
Which one is it?
The one on the left.
Oh, that one. Okay. Wow.
So there's this was their 90s update.
Okay.
And
I could see that.
Yeah, it's now just a simple wave that's made of the green, the red, and the yellow.
Okay.
3 stripes in a kind of a Nike swoosh, but like fatter, so it's more like a wave.
An inverse. Upside down. Yeah.
And then there's
no, it would be normal.
There's a KV and behind that over top of the wave and a soccer ball, just like the modern soccer ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the KV is sans, all caps, and stroked in black. And then below that it says Football on Zee, which means football by the sea.
I love that their marketing thing was like, we just got to push the sea aspect of this. Like it's more about destination tourism than wow. Yeah, that is a very early 90s, did you say?
I think it's mid.
Oh, wow. It's very boring.
Yeah, it's after the old one, especially since these other teams in Belgium are keeping their old coat of arms.
Yeah.
To update to this.
And it's abandoned there's no shield,
Nope, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chubby merman would be so angry.
Yeah, he's furious. He's fuming down at the bottom of the ocean, waiting for his revenge. So they kept that for too long, and they just updated a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They got new owners, new sponsors, new influx of money, so they did a little redesign, and they have a video as well.
Oh, should we watch it?
Yeah. It's last week we watched Ecuador. This one...
Is it on par?
No. Okay, well, in this first part, they're zooming in on the moon. Ooh. Or is that the Earth? That's the Earth. And
well, it was very great. I thought it was the moon too.
But what's happening now is
they quote Martin Luther King.
They quote Martin Luther King, but while they're quoting in text Martin Luther King, there's Neil Armstrong is talking. So the words on the screen don't match up with one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. They have a different quote by Martin Luther King on there. Now it's buffering.
So this is an AI generated video.
Pretty much. Well, basically, they just go through and they're like, when we were landing on the moon, this is where we ran onto the field. And then in the 80s, when Ronald Reagan was president, we were in the Europa League. And then...
are their owners American now?
No.
What the heck?
And then, what else?
Oh, we have bad internet connection here. Yeah.
But essentially, it's just this... They're comparing the club's history to all of these great moments in American history.
It's so bizarre.
And it's kind of weird. And then they revealed the new logo based off of the old. So the new logo takes the K, the V, and the O. The K is green, the V is red, and the O is yellow. Mm-hmm. And it it crams them all into this shield shape. But in this kind of confusing way.
Yeah.
Where you're like, what does that say? Does it say anything? And you have to know that it's KVO. Because the O is cut off and squished, and also... It
could look just like a geometric pattern. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then what leaves...
With a dark hole in the center of it.
There's a void in the center of it. And so it kind of is almost an optical illusion.
Yeah.
You can see... At one point you're like, oh, the 3-dimensional space in the O is red, or the 3-dimensional space in the V is black, but there's no 3-dimensional space in the K at all. And you're like, what am I looking at? This is it
almost looks like fingers wrapped into a circle. Do you know what I mean? The way the overlapping lines in a way, you kind of see a hand a little bit. I can't decide if I like it or not. Or if it's working or not. It's an improvement.
It's an
definitely
improvement. That's the problem. And that's the fan response I saw is at least it's not as bad as the old one.
Do you have it on their kits? What does it look
No,
like?
I don't.
Okay. That would be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it is. It's so weird too that they're tied in so much to in that video U.S. history, and when I see these colors, it's very much like of the they're like Rasta
Yeah,
colors.
they're very, they look African or they look Rasta.
Yeah.
It doesn't look Belgian at all anymore,
No.
but you can see why they have these colors because it was taken from the old coat of arms.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But with the addition of like the black and the Belgian colors are in there. What are they're red, black, and yellow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So with the addition of the green is what makes it look African or Rasta, and it's a little confusing in the context.
Wow. Well, this is a really interesting one. We'll put it up on the website too, because I was drawn to this one as well, just because it's very weird. There's very few top flight teams in the world that have something comparable, which I do give credit to. Some of the Belgian teams have really pushed it. Yeah, it's boy, I don't know.
It's better than the old one.
Oh, better than the most recent one.
Yeah.
And I like the shape of the shield that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting shape. I think it's mostly that black center. If that was somehow engaged, I think it would work because then it doesn't look like that optical illusion or that's just a weird effect. Like if in that there was the key or something else, I don't know. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
How are they in this? How is this team doing?
They
in the
are
league?
about where Leeds is.
Oh no!
Yeah,
bottom of the league.
Bottom, they're like second to last place. They move around a lot.
Okay.
So they had I think one league second place finish, and then they ended up in the Europa League in 2017. But yeah, so they've had an interesting past, like moving up and down, which is fun and exciting. Unless you're a supporter. But yeah, this is an interesting badge.
For sure. Another team in the league that recently went through a rebrand and a little more controversial, I would say. So I chose one of the two top flight clubs in Brugge. The lesser, you could argue, of the two, Cercle Brugge. They are currently in 8th in the top flight, but they have bounced around a lot, spent a lot of time in the second division, and they are definitely the little sibling to Club Brugge as terms of they're like one of the big boys. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
So this is interesting. First of all, the formation of the two teams in this town were actually made as teams for alumni of two colleges that had kind of different principles and backgrounds. Both colleges were formed in a period of a lot of emulation of English culture that was happening. So there was English-style colleges, and they built an educational system very similar to what was in England. But Cercle Brugge it's from the school, from the Xaverian Brothers school, and that was more of kind of the hoity-toity school.
Oh, no.
And some of the alumni included a baron and an earl. I'm not sure if it was
the Earl of Marshall?
It was the Earl of Marshall. But they, ever since that founding, they have kind of, one of their nicknames is known as the Snobs.
Oh, really?
Whereas Club Brugge they're the farmers, but these are snobs. They are big rivals because they're in the same town. They actually share stadiums with their rivals, Club Brugge, and the old Olympic Stadium in town. And I actually watched them play their derby today. They played today, ended up as a tie, 2-2.
Oh, wow.
And there's two things that kind of enamored me and drew me into this club. One is that they are kind of like I said, the unloved stepchild in the city. And also they play in this giant old stadium where they can only fill the bottom third. And this is like the derby today, the derby.
They could only fill the
and it was
bottom
only
third?
filled the bottom because it's this giant Olympic stadium that looks like it's kind of falling apart. And it's owned by the city as well.
Oh.
So it's very similar to the Chicago Fire in that they have this huge city-owned stadium, Soldier Field. Makes any crowd you get dwarfed because it's a pretty large and NFL stadium. They are not the favorites. And in fact, Club Brugge is planning to build a new stadium, and Cercle Brugge has not secured their own, but they do plan on moving. But because of their history, part of the agreement that Club Brugge made when they moved is that if Cercle Brugge does not find a stadium, they have to allow them to use their new stadium.
Really? So they're coming along with them?
They might come
when
along
they
with
move?
them.
A
They're
roommate
totally
you can't
little
get rid
brother.
of?
So it's interesting. It's an interesting club. Their colors are green, black, white, and sometimes gold. Not my favorite. I was talking about that earlier. And their badge, I would call it more of a badge for sure, has gone through a lot of changes. So the initial one is in line with a lot of these early Belgian clubs that you see. So this is like 1924 to 1968.
It's very handsome.
I couldn't find much from earlier to that. I think it changed. It is very handsome. So it is a circular. It is in the center of the circle, there is a circle that has green and black vertical stripes outlined in gold. And then that is surrounded by a white ring that is outlined in gold that has the club name in it. And at the bottom, floating above that center circle, just the outline of what I imagine a football looked like at that time. And then, like we mentioned, with a lot of these clubs, there's a very ornate crown on top. Very classy, very royal.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It's very nice.
I have no complaints.
That shifted slightly in the late 60s. They started playing with the idea that outer ring could now be sliced in a way that it looks like a C to represent circle. Kind of funny because they're breaking the circle. But now in the center is
funny.
a football. They have the date of founding, 1899, in a white ring outlined in gold. And then now there is a green C around both of those circles in which the name of the club is. And now there's a more simplified crown on top. And then in the late 70s, they moved to a format that would appear a lot in the next different iterations, is they encased a simplified version of that C encircling the soccer ball in a large green rectangle. So you have a green rectangle outlined in gold. The bottom of that rectangle is the club name, Cercle Brugge. Just above it, there is a white circle that has what clearly is the what do you call that patch from a soccer ball? Is that a hexagon, sexagon, whatever?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Looks like the
pentagon.
A pentagon. Sorry. In the center of that, there is a black pentagon, obviously referencing a soccer ball. And then around that now, the C is black outlined in gold. And then there's another simplified
There's
crown.
a lot I like about this one,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't get over that. I feel like the C with the pentagon in it with the white, it looks like a big old like Kermit the Frog eye. It's looking at me.
I had not noticed that. And that does change a little bit when they went through a big rebrand in 97. They briefly got rid of the rectangle. So now, again, it's just a circle. So a white circle in the middle of which the bottom part is a black C with a smaller a pentagon referencing the soccer ball, and then black crown, and then that's all encased in a green circle outlined in black.
This one feels
with the white club name.
This one feels unfinished.
It's It's kind of basic.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of basic. I think that it's no coincidence that the time frame of that is 97 to 2000, because this I feel is really one of the first that you could change colors, put it on a lot of different materials. That simplified form. It's much more much more sense than what happened in 2000. Where they brought back the rectangle, green rectangle now outlined in white and black. At the bottom, the club name. The black C has tripled in thickness, and the pentagon has also grown quite large. So it's back to the Kermit eye.
Yeah, we're Kermit's.
So it's so much so that it's like really pressed up against the edge of the rectangle, and there's almost like an evil like Snow Queen type crown at the
like
top.
It's like the wicked witch queen Snow White crown.
This one is evil. This one feels evil to me.
Evil Kermit. But it's like the old one that I said was unfinished. It's like the feedback was the C is too skinny. Things are too spaced apart. And now they're like, let's make it
you like
fat.
that? Oh. Or the crown looks like a claw from a claw machine in this one too. Not a fan, and how overly narrow that the rectangle is. I'm not a fan. And I think that was probably a lot of criticism they got, because then in the next two iterations, the rectangle stays, but it becomes closer to a square. It's a little wider. No outline, so now it's just a flat green ground. They returned to a thinner C in 2003 and a smaller pentagon, and just a very minimal crown that's now made from a horizontal dash, and the crown parts are made of like stacked circles with a cross on top. Very minimal. Nowhere does it say the club name. And then there was another iteration that they used until 22, where the C once again went back to the Kermit eye, thick C. But then in 2022, they went in an entirely different direction, and in honor of the Earl of Mastery. Is that just?
Oh, actually, it's a job title, not a lord title.
Yeah.
So it's the Earl Marshal.
So it's not really a crest or a badge. It's barely a logo, because it's almost just text. But well, let me explain what they did. So keeping with the C around, we said it was a pentagon, right? Keeping the C around the pentagon, it is now just green, and they made it more of a neon green. It's no longer this forest, like natural Kelly green that it was. But now that C is made up of the word circle, CERCLE. So it's curving around, and then it's around that pentagon that's also that green. It's not encased in any circle, any square. It's just sitting there like text. And it's starkly different. Again, maybe a reaction to the very formal badges that are in Belgium. Maybe I think a lot of what I read about the club is that they were trying to reinvent themselves after being the kind of like unwanted stepchildren.
Oh, so this is their rebellious phase.
Well, I think they're trying to create a new identity and really be with that green. And I just don't know that it works. And again, the fan reaction is as is usually the case, pretty negative.
Mine would be too.
I'm not a fan. I would say of all of them, and this is rare, I like their old one the best.
Yeah, the classic, the first one, the second one I like a lot about it.
Yeah, the second one.
I wish that circle, the outer circle that they chopped to make it look like a C, I wish that was a full circle.
So like from 24 to 79. Mm-hmm. And that really corresponds with some of their best years. Because they won the national title, which is winning the league in 1911, 27, and 30. And then they won the Belgian Cup in 27 and 85. So that kind of corresponds.
Is their club nicknamed the Kermit Eyeballs?
No, they're the Snobs. I told you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Snobs.
That's it. We went a little long. I thought it was good. All right, we got to go. Have a great week, and we'll see the two of you next week. Actually, we won't. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
Bye.